King's Quest. For this prototype, I created a story-based 3D first-person game. I chose 3D instead of 2D because I wanted a new challenge after working on 2D for so long, and I wanted a first-person perspective because I prefer story games when it feels more like you are the character. This game setting is in the medieval times, and the player is a doctor for a village/town, and is trying to survive amongst illness that has started to spread. You start inside this small house, and you have to walk up to villagers and just talk to them, see what's wrong, and see if they need any help or any quests that they can give you. Most of them do, except for one, but for most of them, you do have at least 1 or 2 things to give to them. The main story progression is you are talking to the villagers, trying to figure out what the illness is and if you can help the king. And once you've talked to enough people, you are able to go to the king himself after a little bit of parkour, and you can guess between if you are unable to, and you are able to choose between hay fever or flu. And if you guess wrong, if you've guessed and you guess flu, you see an end screen and it is a loss and it is the bad ending. And if you click hay fever, you'll get a win screen, which is the win, and you get the good ending. There is actually an alternate ending where if time runs out, you actually and if time runs out, you can actually get the alternate ending, which is everybody dies. Just like the bad ending, however, you never knew the reason for the flu. I used games like Skyrim and Firewatch as my idea income, is because I really like Skyrim and I love the idea of story progression through quests. Genshin Impact is another game that you can use as some inspiration. The player uses W, A, S, and D to move around. They use space to jump and shift space to jump and their mouse to look around. Each NPC, if you walk up to them, they will give you 1 regular dialogue, and you can choose between 2 options, which gives you optional dialogues as well. And if you've completed their quest, they'll give you a 3rd dialogue, and you can actually have another 2 extra choices, and they also have more dialogue options there, so there's actually quite a lot of writing. I accidentally made my Unity project in the wrong version originally, and when I updated that very later on, after realizing I had some universal pipeline rendering issues that I had to update twice. The first time I thought worked, but when I tried to build my game, I came across another issue, and it was a simple fix. However, it was a bit annoying to figure out, as I've never worked in Unity before university. Either way, I'm really happy with the story, and I actually kind of, after rereading the dialogue and thinking of the characters in my head, unfortunately I can't convey them in the game, I kind of grew attached to the story idea, and I will most likely improve on this further in my own time as a hobby. Whether that is adding more dialogue to each character and growing depth and personalities for each, expanding on their stories, or making the world bigger and getting to the king would be much more difficult. Overall, I'm actually really happy with my game. This was one of the first times I worked 3D Unity, and it had its own challenges, and it's definitely more difficult than 2D. My dialogue system is one of the biggest things in my game, and I wish I had more time to work on it. The main system is the dialogue for the NPCs. These all lets the player start a conversation where it locks the mouse and stops the player from moving. Most of this happens in the dialogue NPC script, where the player can choose 2 options. The dialogue changes and then ends after a short time. The dialogue UI manager script controls all the text and buttons that shows up on the screen, shows the dialogue, the sets of options, and hides everything when the conversation has been finished. The king script is used for the final part of the game when the player talks to the king NPC specifically. They choose between two options. One leads to winning the game and the other one leads to losing. The NPC interaction tracker script keeps track of how many NPCs the player has talked to, and when enough NPCs are interacted with, the gate before the king's castle will break. The NPC quest script is for the quests that are given out by each NPC, and you can pick up the objects and it will complete them depending on how many you have picked for each NPC. Overall, they all work together to make the dialogue and quest system together, where the player can talk to NPCs and complete their tasks, completing the story. This is another folder for the continuation of the quest system. The game timer script controls a 10-minute countdown, and when it time's up, it will open up a UI panel, and after that panel has been shown on the screen for around 5 seconds, the game closes. The quest script is the script that stores all the information for each quest, and it keeps track of the names and descriptions and the entire progress. And when the player makes progress, this script will update the counter, and once the goal is reached, the quest is marked as complete and the NPC dialogue will change because of it. Finally, I've left this as the Apple script, as it made the most sense to me, and it became the umbrella term for the items that you can collect around the game. When the player walks into one of the items, it calls the NPC quest system and adds progress to the update of the quest, meaning I can set how many items that NPC needs, and I can set what items go to which NPC quest specifically. After that, the apple or item will disappear from the scene if the player walks into it. Overall, these scripts help manage the game's time limit, quest progression, item collection, and sometimes the story progression, which all supports my game.